For those of you that have just arrived, welcome. You need to have an index card, and you may have a pipe cleaner. The pipe cleaner is there for you just to fiddle with as we go through the session, if that's something that helps you to keep focused. Some brain science that suggests that when you're listening to people like me, having something to do can help to keep you more focused. So that's the purpose of the pipe cleaner. The index card, I need you please to write down something small that you'd like to change that we can work on in the group non-content coaching session at the end. So that might be a New Year's resolution that needs a boost, if you can remember it from back in January, something you'd like to do differently, a habit you'd like to change. Things that people have written down in the past are things like going to the gym more often, listening more, not using social media as much, those kind of things. So as we're going through, if you can make sure you've got something in mind or something written down. Okay, cool. So that's the kind of hygiene factors out of the way. Hi.
Sorry, your
Yeah.
voice is not coming from the speaker.
Ah, isn't it? Right. So can you hear me?
No. I mean, not from the mic at least.
Right.
I can hear you directly.
I'll go and see if we can sort that out. There's no point wearing a mic if it's not working. Excuse me, the microphone doesn't seem to be working.
Okay, I'll get some help. I'll get some help.
Thank you. Okay. So someone's going to come and help with the microphone. I will try and project my voice as loudly as I can until then. So I'm Claire Ashcroft, and this is The Power of Questions. I'm an Agile Coach, and my passion is coaching. This session is based on one of the fundamental skills of coaching, which is questioning skills. It's also inspired by some of the people I've worked with and some of the questions that people have asked me throughout my life that have resulted in pivotal turning points for me. I've worked with a particular Scrum Master about 18 months ago or so, who was really keen to understand the impact of the questions that they were asking on the people that she was working with. And that really brought to life to me the power of questions and the power of questions within Agile as well. Can you hear me now at the back? Okay, thank you. So the aim of the session is to discover, for you to discover why questions can be so powerful. I'm going to run a session for you to understand and experience why questions can be so powerful. And then I'm going to share with you some questions that have had a real impact on me in my life, like a little scrapbook of questions that I've kind of collected that people have asked me at just the right time that have resulted in turning points in my life. And then you're going to get an opportunity to experience the power of questions using the thing that you've written down on the index card that you'd like to change in the non-content coaching session at the end. So we'll start by giving some context, and this is the NLP Communication Model, which helps us to understand how, as human beings, we take information in and process it from the outside world. This was developed by Tad James and Wyatt Woodsmall in 1988, and it shows us how we take information in and process it to make sense of the world. So, for context, how many bits of information do you think might be coming at us as human beings at any one time? So if you had to say how many bits of information per second, for example, what would your guess be? 20? 20? Thousands? Millions? Yep, okay. Okay, so in the paper that I've based this information on, called The Magic Number 7, which was written by George Miller in 1956, he suggests that there are approximately 2 million pieces of information coming at us at any one time. So a huge tidal wave of information is trying to engulf us at any one time. Who has been on a familiar journey and not remembered how they've got there? Show of hands. Yeah? Okay. So one of the reasons for that is because we can only take in so much information at one time, and we're going to do an experiment for you to understand just how much that is. And anything that's familiar, the brain kind of unconsciously does, kind of switches off from, and is there ready in fight or flight mode for anything that might be coming to attack us, or any dangers that there might be for us. So we've got a huge tidal wave of information coming at us. According to George Miller, 2 million pieces per second. And this is how we make sense of that information. Can you hear me at the back? Brilliant. So, I'm sure many of you will be familiar with this. We take information from the outside world through our senses, so through our feeling, through our eyesight, through being able to smell, taste, and hear. Arguably there are more senses, but these are the main 5 senses that we're taking information in from the outside world to make sense of what is happening. We take that in and we then filter that information in our mind, in our brains, based on our experiences of life. So our experiences of life really do play a part in how we interpret information that is coming to us. So we will filter that information based on our values, our beliefs. It might be our upbringing. And when we're doing that, we're having to ignore some of the information and delete and distort that information so that we can make sense of it within our own context. So our perception of reality really is reality, because we can't take in all the information that's coming to us and we then filter it based on our own life experiences. And what we're doing is creating our own map or internal representation of the world. We're trying to make sense of what's going on around us. And that in turn determines how we feel and how we behave, and those two things impact each other. And ultimately, that determines our experiences of life. And hopefully, we're having more of the green experiences on that little chart there than the red ones. Okay. Is anybody aware that they are doing this? Yeah? Is anybody aware that they're filtering that information? So the filtering of that information is unconscious in most people. It's based on our conditioning and who we are, our upbringing, our life experiences. And I personally am not aware of that at the time doing it. I haven't met anybody else who knows that they are. So, before we go on to do the exercise, there's a number here on the bottom left-hand corner which suggests that we can only take in between 5 and 9 pieces of information at any one time through our senses. So of that 2 million or smaller, whatever that number is, if there's 2 million pieces of information coming at us at any one time, and we can only take in between 5 and 9, how much are we missing? It just happens to be the old recommended number for a Scrum team in the Scrum Guide, but no longer. So that's a coincidence. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise now to experiment with that, so to find out how much information you personally can take in at any one time. And all you need to do is to be comfortable on your seats and listen to what I'm going to say to you. So I'm going to read out a list of things that I'd like you to pay attention to, and I'm going to ask you to overlay them each time. So the list will get larger, and I want you to try and focus on them all at the same time. And what I'd like you to do, when it becomes too much, when you can't focus on anything else, I'd like you to raise your hand in the air. Okay? So be comfortable, listen to what I'm saying, and try to focus on as many of these things as you can at the same time. Raise your hand when it becomes too much. Already? That's the first, isn't it? Okay, so the first thing that I'd like you to focus on is the colour of the ceiling in the room. So you're focusing on the colour of the ceiling in the room, and also the feeling of the seat beneath you. So the colour of the ceiling in the room, the feeling of the seat beneath you, and the temperature of the air on your skin. So you're now focusing on the colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, the temperature of the air on your skin, and the feeling in your left big toe. Colour of the ceiling, feeling of seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin, feeling in your left big toe, and the taste in your mouth. Colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin, feeling in your left big toe, taste in your mouth, brightness of the light from the screen. Colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin, feeling in your left big toe, taste in your mouth, brightness of the light from the screen, and the Agile on the Beach artwork here. Colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin, feeling in your left big toe, taste in your mouth, brightness of the light from the screen, Agile on the Beach artwork here, and your breath entering and leaving your nostrils. Still a few people going, so I'm going to keep going with this. It's colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin, feeling in your left big toe, taste in your mouth, brightness of the light from the screen, Agile on the Beach artwork, breath entering and leaving your nostrils, and what you can hear outside the room. So colour of the ceiling, feeling of the seat beneath you, temperature of the air on your skin. Okay, most people have raised their hands now. Thank you. There were a couple more if anybody hadn't quite got to that point where there was too much for them to take in. So the reason I did that was because I wanted you to have an experience yourself of how much you can take in at any one time. And that is why I believe that questions can be like keys that open doors, because they can help us to focus on things that we're not seeing. There's a lot of information that we're not able to take in, and that we actually choose not to take in. And questions can really help us to refocus, challenge our assumptions, and think differently about things. So they can be really powerful coaching tools, and also to help people think differently on any journey, but on an agile journey as well. Okay. 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 So the next thing that I'm going to do is to share with you a scrapbook of questions that people have asked me that have been pivotal in my life. So I'll share some experiences of my life with you. And I want to make it interactive because it could be quite boring if I'm just talking at you. So I'll introduce you to my 4 friends and colleagues here. And what we're going to do is have a game of Guess Who. So I'm going to share a question with you and then ask you just to guess who you think it was that might have asked me it, just for a bit of fun. The pictures are not entirely clear, but you can get the idea. So I'll introduce you to my colleague Tony, my friend Emma. You might recognise, a bit dark here, but Lisa Adkins in the bottom left-hand corner, and my friend Henry as well. And one of these people is an Agile coach, and they asked me the question, what have you discovered? Who do you think it might be? Malcolm might know, which is fine if you do. Who? Lisa? Tony? Hen, well, yeah, brilliant. So it could have been any of those people, but it was Tony. So Tony Richards is an Agile coach. He's a colleague of a couple of us in the room, actually, who you may know. And I've recently left Aviva, who I worked for quite a long time, and moved to Cumbria to try to set up my own Agile coaching business. And I started doing that in February, and I've been very busy trying to get that off the ground. And not necessarily feeling like I'm making much progress, which is not a surprise to me at the moment. And Tony asked me this question. He asked me, what have I discovered? And it really got me to think and reflect about what I'd been doing and what I have learned and discovered on that journey so far. So it was really helpful for me to have that question asked to help me to really reflect on what I'd discovered and how I'd use that information actually to adapt what I was doing quite a lot along the way. So, who of these people asked me questions? Who is my friend and asked me, how would it be if, and what if you could have X and Y? Would you think? Emma, you were right, it's Emma. So Emma is a coaching friend of mine, and at a point in my life where a significant relationship had broken down and I was a bit lost, she asked me these kind of questions. So how would it be if you could have what you want in your life? Which was really powerful at that time because I was a bit lost, and that got me to actually visualize and think about what life could be like. And that put me into the place where I really wanted to get there. But she didn't only stop there. She then asked me, what if you could have not just that thing, but something else, and really got me to be really ambitious about what I could have in my life. And they were really important questions that gave me light bulb moments at that time, and most of those things have now, probably about 9 years later, most of those things have come to fruition. Okay, so who is so generous that they shared with me all of these questions? Lisa, yes. So I'm sure some of you in the room, in fact I know that some of you in the room have been on Lisa Adkins' Coaching Agile Teams training, so you might be familiar with some of these powerful questions that she shares in that training session. I've just highlighted some that I particularly resonate with me from an Agile perspective. So what is working that you can build on already? What would a simpler way look like? How can you break it down? And what would an experiment look like? How can you start to test your assumptions? And what Lisa did for me was to give me faith that coaching was valued within Agile. I came to Agile from a non-technical background, coaching and training background, and going through that training really made me realise just how valuable coaching techniques are to Agile and Agile transformations. And finally, through a process of deduction, who shared with me a BFO and a miracle question? Hen. Okay, so Hen is an NLP master trainer who I learnt NLP from, and she also trained with Wyatt Woodsmall, who was on the previous slide, who devised the NLP Communication Model. Hen, anyone know what BFO might mean? Clean language only. So BFO, to me, is a blinding flash of the obvious. And Hen gave me a blinding flash of the obvious when she did a similar exercise with me to what I just did with you, layering on different things for you to focus on. About 2009 I was doing NLP training, and again I was in a bit of a state of unhappiness at that point, but what that exercise did for me was to make me realise that there was more going on than was in my head. It made me feel really positive, because at the time the thoughts I was having weren't particularly great. So to have my senses kind of enacted, and for me to be able to focus on different things and to realise that I could have power over what was going on in my life was very, very profound, and has affected me ever since, I would say. And the miracle question. We're going to have a go at the miracle question now with the thing that you've written down on your index card that you would like to change. So if you haven't got anything in mind or written anything down, just quickly get something down, and then we're going to run the non-content coaching session. So just something small that you would like to change that we can work on in a coaching session. Would you like me to get the mic, or can you hear me speaking like this?
apologies.
You've got to run a lead, that's the only thing, which might take a bit of time.
Are you okay, everyone? No, apologies for that. Made it to the speaker. Are you sure you're all right with that?
Yep, that's fine. Okay. So, we're going to have an experience now of the miracle question, which Hen shared with me. And what I need you to do for this is to be feeling comfortable and relaxed in your seats. So just so that you're ready to go through a coaching session and not distracted. So I'm just going to ask you to do a few things to feel relaxed. So if you can just make yourselves feel comfortable on your seats. Make any last minute adjustments you need to make to be as comfortable as you can be. And I'm going to ask you to take 3 deep breaths in your own time, just to focus yourself and be ready for the coaching session. So if you fill your lungs on the inhale and exhale fully on the out breath, filling your lungs on the inhale up to the top of the shoulders and exhaling fully on the out breath. And one more time. And then I'll invite you to either close your eyes or focus on a fixed point in the room if you'd prefer to keep your eyes open. So close your eyes or focus on a fixed point in the room. And now I'd like you to bring to mind the topic that you'd like to change, that you've either got in mind or that you've written down on the index card. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions to explore that topic. So first, I'd like you to briefly explore the current situation in your mind. So how is the situation now? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? Imagine it's fixed, completely sorted in the best possible way. Imagine it's fixed, completely sorted in the best possible way. How will it be? How will it be? What are you seeing? Hearing? Thinking? Feeling? Doing now? What are you focusing on What are you focusing on? What are you enjoying the most? What are you enjoying the most? What else becomes possible? What else becomes possible? And what's important about that? What's important about that? Okay, that's the end of the coaching session. So if you'd like to ease yourself back into the room, you might like to stretch your fingers and toes and just move about a bit on your chair. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to share any feedback that you have of that experience of being on the receiving end of those questions. Hi.
The first part of the question was about how it is now.
Yes.
The second part of the questions are actually about how you would feel when the problem is solved.
Mm-hmm.
But first I started receiving them, how does it feel to solve them? And then I immediately go to defensive mode, like, yeah, if I knew how to solve it, I would have solved it, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
It took me some time to stop myself solving problems and going into this future mode.
Okay.
And that was interesting experience. I didn't really manage it, but it feels promising.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Who else? Lady at the back. What else is possible? Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's been said before. I think it's quite opening your mind to anything being possible potentially. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Malcolm?
I would interpret the discover what the real motivation was behind what I was saying. Which almost should put us some really interesting insights into myself.
So insights into your motivation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I ended up thinking about, and coming up with ideas, and there's nothing to do with what I've written down.
Okay.
I started there, but went somewhere completely different.
Okay. Somewhere better, did you say? So?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it revealed that
Okay.
what I've written down was the problem.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. That's a very profound. Guys from this side, any feedback that you'd like to share? Hi.
Got a bit of glimpse or a taste of how it feels once you achieve what you're trying to.
Yeah.
It's really great feeling.
Okay.
Very nice to implement.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I started out with a vague problem, but I got a bit more clarity on how to go about and clarity on the problem itself.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. And one final person from this side. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought that rather than the challenges of getting something, I was thinking about actually doing it
Mm-hmm.
and focusing more on that.
Okay. Fantastic, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. If there is anything that you'd like to capture, please feel to write that down now before I move on to the next session. If there are any insights that you just want to jot down, then please feel free to do that so you can potentially take it outside of the room. Just give you a moment to quickly do that. And I'll just share with you what it was that we just did. So this is the series of questions that we went through, which Henry Lydiard shared with me in my NLP training. That is actually the flip chart on the horrible carpet that we had in the room at the time. And the miracle part of it is where it says, imagine it's fixed, completely sorted in the best possible way, how will it be? Because it can have that effect that some of you have vocalized of putting you in that position of it being fixed and finding ways to get there. So imagine it's fixed, completely sorted in the best possible way. How will it be? Is the miracle question. And this is a quote from Julie Starr, her coaching manual, which again, I'm sure some of you are familiar with. And I think it summarizes nicely my session and how I feel about questions being like keys that can open doors. From the things that I've said previously and also the experiences that you've had today. These are the things, amongst many others, that questions can do. They can open up to new ways of working, thinking, make people feel involved in decision making, help to explore possibilities, so what else is possible. And ultimately, coming back down to Agile values and principles, helps to create that kind of coaching environment where individuals and interactions are valued over processes and tools, and helps to create a motivating and supporting environment where people feel valued and their decision making is valued and their input is valued. So a few final questions that I'm going to share with you, which I consider to be like the code to a padlock. So there's a little padlock in the top right hand corner there. Who has made a New Year's resolution and not stuck to it? I think I've tried all of those things and failed probably all of them at some point in my life. The current one that I mentioned previously is around social media and my use of social media, in particular using Facebook. I keep trying to delete the app from my phone. I keep trying to tell myself that I'm going to have a Facebook Friday, which means I can look at it on Friday only. But it's not working. And I know the impact it's having on my life. I'm not able to break through. And I've thought about it, and what it is for me is that a fear of being disconnected and from not knowing what is going on in other people's lives that I've developed. And if I could find a way to get through that, then I think that I'd have more of a chance of being able to kick my social media habit into touch. And there's a series of questions that I'll share with you here, which help to unearth what it might be that you like about the current situation and that you're scared of losing. So for me, I'm scared of losing knowledge about my friends and feeling like I'm feeling of being left out. So these questions can really help to unearth what that thing is and also to help you to take it with you as part of your goal. So what is good about the situation now? So at the moment, I can be really nosy and know what all my friends are doing. What would I lose? I'd feel like a fear of losing out, fear of not knowing what other people are doing. And what would I like to keep? I'd like to keep that. I'd like to keep those relationships with my friends and family. And then the final question, how can I build those gains into my outcome? So instead of using Facebook, for example, what else could I do in order to have those things? Any ideas as to what else I could do to still have that interaction? Yep. Sorry? Talk to people, yes. So talk to people, make an effort to go and spend time with people and have that connection with people. So if I can find a way of doing that, then I'm more likely to be able to delete the app and not put it back on, or stick to a Friday. Exactly. So that's sometimes people, you might be coaching somebody or yourself, you might really want to do something, but there's something that you really like and don't want to miss about the current situation. This series of questions can help you to identify what that is, and also to incorporate that into the outcome that you're looking to achieve. Okay. And that is the end of the session. I hope it's been okay. I hope you could hear me. I feel like I've been kind of struggling to kind of be heard at the back there, but I hope that's been okay. These are some of the books that I've used to design this session. Lisa's book, NLP workbook if anyone's interested in finding out more about NLP. The coaching manual by Julie Starr, which looks at the 5 fundamental skills of coaching, including questioning, and training from the back of the room, which amongst other things is where the pipe cleaners came from, as a recommendation from Sharon Bowman when I did that with her. And finally, I'd like to ask you for your feedback. In fact, let's do a pop-up. So if you'd like to share some feedback, if you'd like to stand up just to kind of get moving before you go out of the room, then pop up and share any feedback that you've got from the session. Hey, thank you.
I've got one. Might be feedback or it might be questions.
Okay.
So the thing about thinking about the problem being solved, I can see how that can make you feel positive about it, which might give some motivation. But is there anything else apart from that kind of positive feeling, or is it just things floating on the positive feeling? What's the real advantage of thinking about?
So having solved the problem. Has anyone got anything that they could share about that from their experience?
You don't normally know what the solution looks like until you actually think about it.
Did you hear that? So
You don't really know what the solution looks like.
Yeah.
until you think about it potentially.
Yeah.
So thinking about it helped to understand what the solution was. Any other thoughts? So is it just that feeling of positivity, or is there something else about understanding what the solution is? Know that it can be solved?
Focusing on it, mainly solve it, knowledge there are some solutions for it.
Focusing on it and come up with some solutions? Hi.
Visualizing yourself in the solution makes your belief happen and then feel more possible.
Okay. Yeah.
Trying to focus on the solution makes that you are not trying to find any possible reason for not doing
For not doing it, yes. Yeah.
Trying to backtrack from the solution and come to the problem so that you can find the way to the solution.
Okay, yeah. So from the solution, go back to the problem and then kind of find that path to get there.
Validating the fact that's the actual problem you really need to solve.
Absolutely, yes. This gentleman here found that there was a different thing that needed to be resolved. Yeah. Is that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful.
Any other feedback, questions?
Question following that one. So
Yes.
once you have visualized the solution,
Yep.
have you tried that to a team of, let's say, 10, 12 people, some of whom are not in the same continent?
I haven't tried that, no. But you could try it, experiment with it. Why not? Yeah. Yeah, you could try it. Any more final? Sorry.
Question actually.
Yeah.
In the starting you said that when you were struggling, all these questions helped you.
Yes.
How successful you feel after knowing all these things? Do you think you're really successful now by answering all those questions?
So personally,
Yeah.
how do I feel?
Yeah.
Which questions in particular? And
Those questions, like your friends ask
oh, right, yes.
more
Yeah.
by answering those questions yourself.
Yeah.
How successful have you become?
I think so. That's a difficult question. I don't want to say about how successful I think I am, but they've been really, really helpful in my life. So I went from a point of relationship breaking down to being quite lost about what I was doing with my life, basically, to my friend Emma asking me those questions, visualising the kind of things that I would like to have in my life, and believing they were possible because I could visualise them. And it's taken a few years to get there, not overnight, but just believing and having that vision has really helped me the question that Tony asked me around what have you discovered was really powerful from an Agile perspective, and someone who's trying to set up their own business, to give me that kind of reassurance that I am making progress and I am inspecting and adapting and I am learning, even though I might not necessarily be making loads of money at the moment. I am making the progress, and it is going to be a journey. So that's really helped me to stay positive about that and not kind of give up, I guess. Is that the kind of...
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay. So why do you perceive that they think that you're challenging? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what is it about that situation that makes it sort of feel that way? We could do another visualization if you want of us. Yeah. Okay. So maybe there's something about the environment, the situation that the questions have been asked in, the rapport, the trust with the team. I don't know. It could be quite a lot of different things. There's a few hands going up here. Can I just... Eben, did you have something that you wanted to say?
I hate to ask a long question, get answers, but I feel like many people that only ever ask questions when they come to this role. And so I have to be careful on effectively with CC and writing scripts. Sometimes, very rapidly.
Sorry, lady in the middle.
Quite male dominated, and at points, I know, I'm sorry, at points, I feel like they're asking questions just for the sake of asking questions and being difficult. We're not actually getting anywhere. So, like, how many questions are you giving?
But it sounds like that many questions is too many questions. Yeah, I don't think there's a sort of carte blanche answer to that, but it sounds like you're having a situation where you're being asked a lot of questions, and I'm not sure I can answer kind of... Well, maybe try and find a new way of answering those questions for them, which means that they don't have to ask. I don't know, is there something that you can do as a group, a session that you could run together where you're kind of helping to create that environment where these questions can be answered in a different way, through a workshop, or maybe through having a person in the team who answers the questions that day, so they're not all directed to the same person, those kind of things. And those are hands going up, so I'll just quickly go through how many... Okay.
All of these sessions are being filmed and will go online. So because obviously the reason we're using the mic is actually used up for the camera, so we'll be going perfectly.
Right, okay. So we can watch it back.
It might coming up there, but it will be online. So anything you feel you've missed, you will be able to go on to the Macro Sky website, and the whole of your presentation will be there for everyone
Okay,
to watch
thank you.
again. I mean, I don't want to stop, so if you're happy for people maybe to ask you individually if others want to go off, is that...
just take that final question there, because you've had your arm up for a long time, and then we'll close the session.
So a lot of the approach to the question is actually having a goal, looking at different perspectives, where it can take you going forwards. How often do you redo it and rebase yourself with the goal and find what you've committed on track?
As often as you feel you need to do that, I think. Maybe if you get a certain way and the situation's different, so you've moved from one place to the next and the current situation has changed, you might want to explore it again and see what's changed, see what's different, and see whether there's anything any further that you can take that. If you've got a different challenge or goal that you want to work on as well, you could try to do that there. Yeah, you could do it in groups as well. So you could do it in a group situation where you've got a shared challenge as a team, and see what different solutions you come up with, because we're always looking to keep the solutions open in Agile, and that could really help some people who maybe don't like to verbalize things to come up with some ideas that you can share through going through that thinking and visualization exercise as well. Okay, we will close it there. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it.